Hello, everyone. You are not experiencing deja vu. This is the second time the video has been uploaded. That's why you'll notice the V.2 next to the name. A decision was made to edit part of the episode, and that decision, the only reason it's being made is because Scott asked me to. And otherwise, that probably wouldn't be happening. So out of respect to Scott, who is a big part of this show, he's my partner, and that is going to happen. Anyone who has commented on the previous video for the giveaway, I'm going to make sure that I go ahead and I'm copying those down and I will enter them here so that you don't have to re-enter. I don't want to lose any of that. We will lose all the previous views and everything from the last video because there's no way to just swap out the video and keep the other stuff in there. So again, thank you to everyone who has supported this channel throughout the years. It has not gone unnoticed who has supported, and I truly appreciate it. I love the comments. I love when people participate, send us emails, send us voicemails. And going forward, I will say this. There will be no more edits. If anything is ever said here, it's going to stay. And that's my decision. And I will make that decision from here on out. And again, thank you. And on with the show.
Hey, what was that? Did you buy another model? I can't believe you. You have way too many of those things. You need to sell some of them. You're wasting all your time and money on models. Paint what you have.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 65.
I can't believe I got to do this again. 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
Well, yeah. How are
We're
you,
to start
sir?
over again because Jason's a moron.
That's true. How are you, Scott? My lovely co-host.
I am lovely.
I feel like we just did this. It's been a very
I know,
short month.
and I can't. I need a break already. I've been around. I've been back, 3 episodes? And it's like I'm ready for another month off.
Oh, my God. I wish I could take a month. Anyway, things good?
Great.
What's wrong with you today? Why are you wondering?
We have kid problems I got to take care of tonight, so we're gonna rush through this as quick as we can.
Yeah, we have. This is a weird episode. I've had to edit in Mark because you were doing a pizza or something without you. Now we have to cut this short, and
whatever. Get on with it.
It's a short month, so it's a different format today. We're gonna cut things a little shorter than we normally do, in terms of these segments of the show. Just because we felt like there wasn't much that came out in the last week that we could put on news and reviews. There's a couple things that we're going to go over, but other than that, Scott, make sure talk to everyone you know and tell them to like and subscribe when they watch our show. It helps out quite a bit.
Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, share.
Get the kids, you two girls, you on the bike. We should do a Blues Brothers thing. Model Club TV, you two girls.
Oh, I love that. We
Put
want
the big
the show
thing on the top of your Scion, the big microphone.
We want the show. Other than that, you watch anything? Anything new?
Picard season 1, episode 1. I did watch that.
How was that?
It's hard to say because it's like a setup episode, and this has been the case with the other 2 seasons as well. It takes 2 or 3 episodes to get going,
and then it goes to shit, is what I've heard all along.
I don't know. It's Star Trek fans and any fan of anything gets to the point where they can't enjoy something.
Me.
and they over critique it.
Me.
Okay. I will say this: Star Trek or Picard season 1, it was okay. I enjoyed it. Season 2 was not as good, which sucked because it had the Star Trek Nemesis Q, which I loved, and it just wasn't as good as like the Q episodes on the Next Generation and Voyager. He did a few on Voyager as well. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Did you go see Ant-Man?
No, but I'm hearing terrible things, just terrible things. So you'll probably like it.
No, that does not look good to me. None of the Marvel is good to me anymore. Did you see MODOK? What they did with that?
Yeah, that's terrible.
How does that even?
And
Let's
I don't even know
here for a moment.
And again, I haven't seen the movie. But MODOK was not he was a AIM, which was Advanced Ideas Mechanics, was like a organization, and he was a creation of theirs, if I'm not mistaken. So what he has to do with Kang is totally beyond.
Yeah, I don't know how they brought him in. I don't know but not being a huge Marvel comic guy, and I've always seen pictures or action figures of that thing, I've always been like, what the hell is that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And then I see this, what they did to it. It looks a million times. It looks like a Snapchat filter where they stretch someone's face out to do like that baby face to make their heads look big. That's what it looks like. Like, how does that even get out of editing? Like, no one said, hey, this is awful. Wow. It's whatever. Anyway.
This is even I've given up on Marvel movies a while back.
Wow. Marvel, do better. Okay. We have some giveaways today. The first one is from Ron Joseph, who sent in.
Well, the first three, right?
The first three. So we have Satan's Crate from Ron Joseph. Watch me break something, and we'll have two giveaways. The Vampirella, the Wolfman repop. All right. So we, because of time issues, I'm going to go ahead and do the giveaway after with Scott. So I'm going to edit it in right here. All right. Just me. Going to do the giveaway real quick here. I am going back to the old style of the tickets in the, the plastic cups, because it was just too many entries to do the wheels for 3 kits. And I kind of forgot to do it when I needed to. Anyway, all right. So we're going to start with from Ron Joseph. Again, thank you for these amazing giveaways. We truly appreciate it. And the first one is for Satan's Crate, old kit builders kit. So here we go. First one, Satan's Crate. Not looking. And I have Kirk Durfee. Congratulations. You got Satan's Crate. Kirk, that's yours. Next kit, the Wolfman. And where's my Wolfie? There we go. That's the Vampirella. Here's the Wolfman thing. All right. Wolfman. Who's getting the Wolfman kit? Wolfman, not looking. And there we go. What? I'm trying to spin it around in my hand. Barry Gordon. Barry Gordon has the Repop Aurora Wolfman Monsters of the Movies 1/12 scale. Thank you, Ron Joseph. Again, one more to give away. Barry Gordon got that one. And the little Vampirella on the tombstone is going to a nice little kit. All right. That is going to, here we go. Shake it up, and turn around on my fingers. Jamie Sy. Congratulations, everybody. And again, thank you, Ron Joseph. You're the best. And back to the show. Congratulations to our winners. Thanks for playing. That's awesome. So thank you. And then, dun.
What do we have to give away
This episode's giveaway is from Paul Gill. And it is sculpted by Tony Gibson, produced by Paul Gill. And it's a quarter scale 1-piece bust. I haven't even opened it yet. Here it is. I was kind of protecting it because you know me. It is kind of like
Here he goes, cutting his finger open on live TV.
Actually. I'm using the blunt end.
The blunt? Say blunt?
Edit that out. You can't say that.
I can say it.
Okay, here we go. So I love Paul's bag packing system.
Yeah, Mark talks in the interview about his expert packing. I don't think he's doing the bag packing. So.
Oh, look at this. You get some stickers.
I think those maybe might be for you.
What is
okay? And now we know what kind
of water
type of water they're drinking at the Gill household.
But here is the kit. Now, there's a cool thing about this. It is.
What?
Let me get this open.
It's immune to you dropping it.
I wonder if I could. Does it work? Hold on. I wonder if this will work. Oh, no, it doesn't work.
No, because your monitor is...
Yeah, my monitor is going to light it up. Dang it. Okay, doesn't work. So, can you see my light behind me better?
Yeah, you should film like that because nobody wants to see you anyway.
So anyway, there's some glow stuff to this, and if you look at the picture there, that will be right here, he was testing out some system for adding glow features to his kits, and so this is almost like an artist proof of trying to figure it out. So quarter scale, one piece bus, the incredible melting man will be yours. So that is next episode's giveaway, episode 66. So to win this, in the comments below,
I'm melting.
that's pretty good. I'm melting.
I know. Yeah,
that will get you in the contest. So
I'm melting. I'll get you in the contest. There you go.
thank you to Paul Gill and Tony Gibson for the incredible melting man. All right, news and reviews, Scott. You ready? All right. First, if you have not got your Wonderfest room, get your Wonderfest room. I saw today. Well, when I just got mine over the weekend, and then I think I saw Mark. What's his name? Warthling. Post about it. He had to call in, and it's sold out, but they got it fixed. So the room block might be sold out. You're gonna have to maybe stay somewhere else if you're not in there quick. So quick, if you haven't got your room yet, now's the time. And the other news is we're going to be there again with a table. Scott loves this. And the other cool thing is Jamie Sy also has a table next to us. You know what? We should have put a 3 in there. We should have put a number as part of our name in the beginning, because then you end up top of the list like Jamie did. 3D print guy.
How do you get to be the 3D print guy?
I don't know.
But
so 3D print guy, Jamie Sy, he'll be next to us selling a bunch of really cool stuff. We'll give you a preview when we get closer, but he's been showing us some of the stuff he's going to have in there.
And Jamie's the guy that was selling the little figures on our table last year.
And he will have those again.
And some more. Some new
other
ones.
Really cool stuff. So stop by our tables. We'll be right next to each other, and we're excited. I am. I like meeting people.
I'm not.
Scott likes to go hide in the room somewhere. Next.
So you have a little pre-recorded bit here.
Yeah, I have a pre-recorded bit
that I wasn't allowed to be part of.
You were allowed to be part of. You chose to get pizza.
You called me
instead.
10 minutes before the food's coming and say, hey, we got to record this right now.
That's on Mark Warthling because he didn't pay attention to his calendar. Actually, me and Mark have the same thing. Our girlfriends/wives tell us stuff, and I don't think we listen when things are planned. And then
I'm gonna tell you something. If he don't listen to Shanna, he's gonna get a black eye.
Yeah,
he's gonna have a bad eye.
So
okay?
the day we scheduled, he didn't realize they had something else, so we had to move it up. And then you had ordered your pizza. Mark has taken over the big headline, and he announced that on Facebook, but he wanted to get it out on here to kind of explain it a little more. And he does a great job, I think, of explaining what's happening. And he also talks about Wonderfest and how he's going to have the Land of the Lost actress and actors there, and some cool stuff that they're doing. So enjoy our little mini interview with Mark Warthling of Pestilence Labs. All right, I'm back real quick. We have an update from Mark Warthling and Pestilence Labs. How are you, Mark?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We're about to have an ice storm or a bunch of rain tomorrow. How's Florida?
Florida is, believe it or not, I think it's going to be in the 80s tomorrow. So
great.
It's almost time to get back in the pool.
Nice. Scott couldn't join us. He's ordered a pizza, and then we had to do some schedule shifting. So it's just you and I. And you had a big announcement online, but I figured, and you figured as well, that it would be a good place to kind of do it here as well and hit all angles. Have at it.
Okay. Well, there's been a lot of Facebook. Facebook has kind of blown up with Mark Brokaw making an announcement that he's basically shutting the doors of Earthbound Studios, so to speak. Mark's been part of this hobby for as long as I can remember.
Yeah,
I mean, right? I mean, it was always if a kit was coming out and it said cast by Earthbound Studios, you were like, oh crap, it's going to be a gorgeous kit. I got to get.
Yep.
So Mark kind of set the standard, and I started working with him on some projects. We've talked about it on some of the earlier episodes of Model Club TV. That was really how I kind of got my feet wet. And I started collecting the Big Head series, which I became obsessed with. and I was on a mission to have all of them. There's like 34 in
Is
the
it really?
collection.
Yeah, there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have all 34.
Nice.
It took me about 5 years to find. I think the last one that I got was the Blob. That was hard to find.
Is there anyone else that you know that has all of them? There's got to be somebody, right?
There's got
There
to
has
be.
to be. Yeah.
I know Jeff Ferroni has quite a few.
Okay.
Michael William Hall. I mean, there's guys out there that really love this series.
Okay.
I mean, it's fantastic. So, anyways, Mark announced that. I mean, he's ready to just kind of semi-retire. I mean, he's been doing this a long time.
Yep.
But he loves the hobby. I mean, Mark it's part of it's in his bloodstream. I mean, he's probably resin in his blood, you know.
After all that casting, I'm sure there probably is.
And and again, Mark and I work together on a lot of projects, so I'm on the phone with him all the time. And in the middle of this announcement, in the middle of it kind of happening, I said to him, I said, Mark, we can't let the Big Head series just die. You can't let it happen. Because there were several projects that he and I talked about that he wanted to do, and things that I thought would be really cool. And I've recommended a few things that were duds, but Shanna reminds me of those all the time.
Putting the picture right here.
That would be the Gargantuas, yes. Scott's going to be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So I told Mark, I said, listen, what do we got to do? I mean, we continue to call it Earthbound, or I think we'll call it Revenge of Earthbound, something like that. Sort of a B movie, Return of, or Son of, or something.
Ooh, Son of.
But Son of Earthbound. So Mark's going to be remain involved. He's really excited about continuing the line for a few kits, a few heads, big heads. A couple that he already announced. He and I talked about it, and he wants to do the Bride. So that's going to be the first Revenge of the Big Heads, Big Head. And I think that's a great choice. It's going to be sculpted by Jeff Yeager.
Oh, nice.
And it'll be fantastic, So Mark is going to stay involved creatively. He's going to stay involved as far as approving any subject that we tag as a big head. I mean, it has to.
Okay.
It's got to.
Sort of like an executive producer.
Exactly.
Would be. Okay.
Exactly.
That works. All right.
And I'm basically going to be primary investor. And we're going to have Bradley Worley do the casting, so those will be gorgeous.
Yeah.
Mark may still do some mold work. He just wants to get out of the production, day-to-day casting work. It's just, too much. He's ready to kind of slow down and take it easy. But he loves molding, so he's going to stay involved. He's very excited about it. And people can come to me to place an order. I'll take orders. I'll take the payments. I will provide Bradley with the necessary information and shipping labels to ship it to customers. But it's still going to be essentially me, Mark Brokaw, and Bradley kind of working together to put these things out. No big changes in the pricing strategy. It's basically, big heads have always been pretty affordable. That should continue.
Awesome. And
it's going to be a lot of fun. So I just want to clear that up. So there may have been some confusion in some of the posts, and
yeah, that kind of helps. That totally. Do you have re-releasing older ones? Is that part of the plan, or is it just going for all new ones going forward?
So Mark kind of made this announcement. Hey, come contact me now if you want something, because I'm done. Everything's kind of getting wrapped up. There are, I think, 5 or 6 big heads that he and I partnered on, which the molds are all great, and we're going to continue to offer those without a doubt. I could rattle those off, but I probably don't even know them in my head. But we have, what Mark doesn't want to do is make it look like he, announced a fire sale and then, just kidding, we're going to put these back out. So we'll consider that. It won't be anytime in the near future, but there are a number of big heads that the molds are in great shape, and it would be a shame to never see them again.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely consider that in the future. I mean, it might be the Frankenstein, the Boris Karloff. I think the Mummy's in good shape. The Glenn Strange Frankenstein. So there's a number of big heads that are still in great shape. So
Okay. That's
never
good to
say
hear.
never. We'll see. We'll see what kind of response if we put an announcement out and then go from there.
I love this. This is good. Keep it going. Is Mark sad? Like, has he seem happy to be done? Or is he like I'm happy to be retired. I'm out. Or is he like, do you think this is going to, because, he's kind of almost retired before. Do you think like a year from now, he might just go, I kind of got the resin itch again and come back? Or do you think this is the final, I'm done. I'm sailing out to the seas, going to the Grey Havens?
I don't think he can never be completely done. Is he happy or is he sad? I think he's relieved that a lot of pressure has been kind of lifted from him. Because he was doing a lot of work for a lot of people, and I think he was just feeling like he needed to perform well to support all these people, and now that pressure is kind of relieved. He
Good.
loves making molds. I don't expect him to stop doing that. He'll make molds for various key people that he's done work for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he is a little sad about doing this because he loves it so much.
Yeah.
But he's going to stay involved, and he's going to stay very involved with Bradley. Bradley does an amazing work, and Mark continues to kind of support him and provide help any way he can. And of anybody, Bradley's the guy to pick up the baton and kind of carry the hobby forward, along with a lot of other great casters.
Yeah, for sure.
He's not the only one. So
for sure. While I got you here, let's talk Wonderfest for a minute.
Okay.
I know you're going to have a lot of stuff if you want to go on that stuff, but your Land of the Lost, I don't think we've had you on to actually talk about it. We just did our own little, preview of what you had coming. How did that come together? Where'd you get the idea now that it's announced? Because you had brought it up to me a while back.
Yeah.
And then I was supposed to not say anything. So I kept my word. Just walk people through, how did the Land of the Lost at Wonderfest come about?
Well, I've been going to Wonderfest regularly now for I don't even know how many years now. I'm certainly I wish I'd been going since day one, like a lot of you guys. Probably 10 or so years, and it's just such a great show, and the guests are always fantastic. This year looks incredible. I mean, the guests that are being announced every other week look amazing.
Yeah, there's some cool
it's
stuff.
Going to be really good. So I'm not sure how I first got the idea. I think I bought the DVD set just because I loved the show so much as a kid. And I'm listening to that intro, and it just get me all jazzed up. And then I think I stumbled upon Wesley Urer, that's Will, and Kathy Coleman, that's Holly.
Mm-hmm.
I stumbled upon their Facebook page or something somehow, and it was talking about them going to shows and doing shows, and I'm thinking to myself, God, man, Wonderfest would be perfect for these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the pop culture crowd. I mean, I know Wonderfest is a lot of horror or sci-fi.
Yeah, but that works.
Totally pop culture, and I started thinking about it. That had to be probably one of the very first shows that really had a lot of dinosaur stop motion animation. And I was seeing that they were doing all these shows and events, and I was like, God, they would be perfect. So before I reached out to them, I reached out to Dave Hodge, and I said, hey, I'd like to do this. What do you think? And I think he was kind of like, well, I mean, he's you never know, right? I mean,
sounds just like Dave Hodge, actually.
It's his show, right? I mean, it's got to be. He wants the show to be great, and so these were new guests, and there's no telling how they'd be received. But he said, gee, this sounds really good, because he went out and looked at their pages and saw how exciting they seem to be at these shows and really get the crowd involved. And so he said, yeah, let's do it. So then I reached out to them, and they were very excited about it. And it's all kind of come together. So I met with Dave Hodge for about an hour one day and kind of walked through the details. And they're gonna be there. They're gonna have a lot of room. They bring a lot of props. I think they might have a pylon there and like sleeve stack, a little sleeve stack altar or something.
Yeah.
And they take pictures in the raft with the guests, and you put on the life vests, and so I'm pretty excited about it, and I hope it's a good show for them, and I hope people
Yeah, I hope so too.
enjoy meeting them.
Because it is a risk, taking a chance on something like that. But I hope it does go well. I think it will.
Yeah. Well, I think it's
Wonderfest has. I don't want to sound like a bad guy. It's the same. There's a lot of samey stuff all the time, and that's okay. But to get something and try something new I think it needs it. So I hope this goes over really well with everybody. I think it could be really cool. How old were you when you were watching Land of the Lost? I've never.
So I think I figured this out. I think I was 7 or 8 or something.
Okay.
I maybe 9.
Okay.
Saturday mornings, that's what I did. I got up early, I probably went through half a box of Captain Crunch and watched cartoons and shows for.
I showed the intro to a couple 7th graders at school the other day, just on a whim. I don't know what we were talking about. They were talking about some TV show called Dinosaur Train for kids, where it's an animated show, but it's about a train and dinosaurs. I'm like, that's the most brilliant kids show ever, because it's the two things that kids love the most: trains and dinosaurs. And they mashed it into one. So I'm like, well, this is the dinosaur show I used to watch. And I showed them the intro, and it was almost like I showed them hieroglyphics or something totally. They're like, what the heck? Like, that is the cheesiest thing that I've ever seen.
Well, the
but
intro,
to us, that was the best.
Intro is cheesy, but what's really cool is the credits at the end. That winding sound that comes in, and I love the credits at the end. That's a cool thing too.
Memories.
But
go ahead.
So we're gonna have, and I think you may have shown pictures on another episode, but we're gonna have. I've already had a tribute piece sculpted for them, so to speak, to kind of accompany their attendance at the show. So I'll have that at my table. It's not going to be small. I mean, it's going to be about 12 inches tall, probably almost 12 inches around at the base. I don't know, something like that, maybe. And it's going to be pretty big. It's being printed right now, and then we'll get it molded and have castings at the show. So
awesome. Anything else you want to sneak peek for the show you're going to have? Any hints, clues?
Well, the plan is to have Wink there, and I know you've got pictures of Wink. You're supporting me on that and helping me out. I know it's been kind of a challenge.
Oh no, I think it's all fine. It's those fairies, everybody. When you get if anyone gets a fairy in their hand when this is done, know a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into the fairies and phone calls. Man.
So that's going to be cool. I'll have the Hellboy line. I think I'm going to have some limited kits, hand cast of the creature, the Wolfman. I'm doing a limited 10 kit run of the Witch right now. I've already sold 5 of the 10, so there's only 5 left.
Yeah, I saw that when I last checked. It was 5. I think I just saw you had sold.
So it's
awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Very cool. Well, thanks for joining us, man. I hope that everything. This is like, I hope it goes great. Like I think people are excited to see it not going away, and to have it put in such good hands with you and Bradley is, I think, the best choice for this right now. So,
and the key is having Mark stay involved.
Yeah,
I think it's the lifeblood of the line. So
for sure.
Yep.
Well, thank you, man. Say hi to everybody, and we'll talk soon. I'm sure.
All right.
We got to perfect our. All right. We'll see you later, man. I'll take care.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Boy, that was riveting.
He hasn't watched it yet, so don't believe him. So yeah, that's great. I really like to see that the big headline is continuing, and with the full support of Mark Brokaw. I think it's a great idea to keep that going, because those are some cool kits, and we'd hate to see them go. All right, moving on. Typhon. If you're waiting for a Typhon kit from Typhon Studios, Mike Calvert's been having some arthritis stuff going on, so he's had to kind of take a pause. So just be nice. Be nice.
Be nice. Be patient.
Be patient.
Mike will get it to you.
He'll get it. Yeah, good guy. You'll get your stuff. Anya Shatina, who's been on our show as a guest, started a YouTube channel, and her first video went up, painting a Sulu, I think. Or
cool.
Yeah, something. I'll have to go back. So yeah, I'm gonna put the link here down below. Look for Anya Shatina's Anya's Workshop is the name of her YouTube channel, and check out. She does a great job. She uses pastels in there and doing some other stuff. So it's gonna be exciting to see where that goes. Let's get to some stuff, some new things. So Mark Van Tine, who's going to be on the show today, sculpted this for Gilbert models. Let's get to the buttons. Wait.
Oh, they got a button?
Gilbert has a button.
There's the button sick, too.
Is the button sick? Is the button working?
Is the button sick? It's got what Calvert's got?
I got to click over here. Nope, something's wrong.
Yep, see the button sick. Mike got the button sick.
What is wrong? Oh, there it goes. Why is this clicking weird? I don't understand. All right, Gilbert, king of the models. From Gilbert, we have the Mummy from the Monster Squad.
That's pretty cool.
Very cool. This, I think, is a great first choice. It's a really good mummy. We showed it last time. Here's the finished, completed one with the base. And again, if you were a part of the Discord, you got to have like some input into what Mark was doing with the base. So really cool Egyptian base that comes with it.
Sculpted by
I just said Mark Van Tine.
I'm just testing you. Okay, go ahead. By the way, I want everyone to know Jason got a 100 on his test last episode.
And I'm going to get a 100 again today. So Mark Van Tine sculpted this mummy. And again, it's a great piece. Coming soon from Gilbert. And in the interview, he talks a little bit today about the next one's coming and some of the other pieces in this line and some of the decision making that went into what came first and what's coming out next. So
okay,
check that out. Next, from Jeff Yeager, sculpted by and produced by Paul Gill, is Horror of Frankenstein. David Prowse. Do you know who David Prowse is, Scott?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Prowse.
David Prowse. He didn't voice Darth Vader, but he was Darth Vader.
He was Darth Vader. Good. I'm so proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know he played Frankenstein's monster twice?
Wasn't he in the made-for-TV one or something too?
Is it 3 times? I don't know.
I could be wrong.
He was the Frankenstein from the monster from hell, that weird-looking one, like the hunchback-looking one, I think too. So, Jeff nails it again. I think that likeness is dead on, and it's another great piece. Quarter scale, coming soon.
What if he sculpted this on an airplane, or if he decided to try something like a helicopter or something this time?
Roller coaster.
Yeah, Jeff, you want to impress me if
on
you're
a
watching?
Boat,
yeah,
on a cruise.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, speedboat or a
bumper cars
or a kayak. Yeah, why don't you try a kayak? See if you can pedal and sculpt at the same time. Maybe put the sculpting tools on the paddle.
Yeah,
and as you paddle and see where you end up. Yeah,
you know what I'd like to see Jeff do, and I think he could do it.
My ass.
Yeah, that too. Is do Frankenstein's monster or Bela Lugosi blindfold? You think he could?
That'd be interesting. Oh, I thought you meant the. Who would want a kid of Bela Lugosi blindfolded? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, is he going to be shot like he's on the?
I think he could do Karloff blindfolded. Okay, I really do.
That's a challenge.
That's a challenge, Jeff.
Jeff, take it up.
Blindfolded, you got to do it.
Just feel it out. Do a
How about this? Blindfolded, but he can take the blindfold off every 2 minutes to see what his progress is.
That's too much. Once an hour.
Once an hour. Boy, you're hardcore.
All right. No, great piece again. I like this hammer line. I think this is going to do really well too. Like there's some cool directions you could go with some of this stuff. And all their Frankenstein's monsters look so different from each of those movies.
Yeah, I wonder what the continuity is in those. I've never watched them, so I don't know.
I was just kind of reading up on it, and I think most of them, they're different creatures, but the same doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. All right, from our buddy Winner, Scott, take it.
Winner, who by the way is working on, and I don't want to show him yet, but he's working on.
Let's just say I look like Saruman.
You look good. My likeness was a little off compared to the shirt.
Yeah, okay.
And I talked to him. I said to him, I said, it's good, but the likeness on the shirt was better. And he told me, relax, bro. It's not done. So, sorry. Peace. Okay.
So coming soon, we'll show you some 3D.
Coming soon. I like this piece. Okay. I don't know what inspired him to do this, but this Beetle Bailey and Sarge is just great. Okay.
He's yelling his clothes off.
And he's yelling his clothes off, and the dog up top. It's wow. I love it.
So now we know, but in Brazil, Beetle Bailey was called Rakuda Zero.
Yeah. So I like to see the translation. But
there is
it's a fun piece.
Yeah, very fun piece.
And again, I like the movement. Okay, the clothes and it's got good movement. The shirt,
the flag,
t-shirt flying back, and you know what's happening there. So
and just like the pose on Sarge, where he's like, it's really well done. He handles his figures really well.
Yep.
And even his toes, how his toes are curled up.
Yep. It's a great
good piece. Very good piece. Well done. Well. All right. And his next one, Bonaparte. Do you know anything about this?
Yes, this is another character in the Groovy Ghoulies line.
Okay.
And so I love it. Matter of fact,
how many of these will you be printing, you think?
I have to get one of these to print. This would be a fun little print, I think.
Yeah.
And for those of you liking this Groovy Ghoulies line, I'm printing them. The mummy's about 7 inches tall. I'm going to print some for Wonderfest. So I'll have some Groovy Ghoulies at Wonderfest. Hopefully I'll have the whole line of Groovy Ghoulies available at Wonderfest. And fret not, my friends, because will get his cut. And just a little warning, okay? Because last year there was a producer there that had taken Well's stuff and cast it in resin. And just a little warning, if it happens this year, you'll be shut down. So that's all I'm going to say. Unless you get permission from him. And if you get permission from him, I'll know about it. Because as far as I know right now, I'm the only guy that prints and sends him any money. There's a guy on eBay or Etsy that does it that's just never sent him a dime. So,
gotcha. Well,
and let's hope that wants to contact Well and say, has Scott ever sent you money? Feel free to, please, because you'll find out Scott sent Well plenty of money. So there you go.
Good on you, sir.
One last news item. For those of you waiting on the new Tony Cipriano class, I did talk to him today, and I think he said he's running about a week behind, so it's going to be a little late, but it is coming. So,
did you see that Werewolf by Night that he did?
Yeah.
Is that ever going to be a kit, or is it just?
What do you think?
Yeah,
come on. No,
that's really good.
Well, I don't want to say no. You never know. It's Tony. You never know. So, I give Tony crap all the time.
All right. We have Mark Van Tine as our guest today, and we couldn't be happier. We had him on before when we did our big Typhon Cross the World stream that we did. But we want to bring him back by himself. Paul jumps in there at the end and talks a little bit about what they're doing. But some stuff I didn't know. And I think it's a great interview. There's some really good tidbits in there. We had some audio issues throughout the thing. So kind of bear with us. I'll see what I can do in the editing side of things to make it better. I think it was internet more than microphone. There was just a weird connection going on. There's big ice storms everywhere tonight. So I'm wondering if that has something to do with something. So enjoy our interview with Mark Van Tine, sculptor extraordinaire. All right, we are back. We have our wonderful guest, Mark Van Tine, Garage Kit. I don't know, Godfather?
Veteran.
Veteran. That's a perfect name.
Yeah.
How are you, Mr. Van Tine? How are you, Mark?
Some of the people you call Godfathers, I've been probably, both of us have been in it longer.
That's probably true. How are you, sir? Doing good?
Good, yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us. This is going to be, I think, a pretty cool, interesting conversation. You have a very huge portfolio when it comes to what you've sculpted for the hobby. And we're going to kind of go through some of those things. But We want everyone to kind of get to know you a little bit as well. So, where'd you grow up? Some basic little facts about yourself.
Okay. So you want me to just jump in with this?
Yeah,
Just,
we'll jump right in to the
the
personal
history.
stuff.
I
The
was
history.
born poor. No, that was the jerk. Steve Martin. But no, I was born. A lot of us, the New York area. But I was actually born in Staten Island, which is the forgotten, the world of 5 boroughs of New York City. The southernmost point where everybody's family lived for like 100 years. You know what I mean? It was like we weren't like the rest of the city. It used to be farm country, believe it or not, in New York City. And let's see, I lived there until I was about 18 years old. I was into art. Came in high school. Weirdly, you pick a major, an art major, won the art award. It's weird stuff like that. And I moved to Florida because my parents moved to Florida like 2 weeks after I graduated from high school. To me, thinking previous to that, like it was sudden that I was going to go to art school in New York, and suddenly, we're moving, and I have no place to live because I have no. I was just graduating from high school. I was just going to go to college. I went with them, took a year off, and then found an art school in Florida.
What city in Florida did they go to?
We went to Naples.
Okay.
Which is on the Gulf Coast. It's the southernmost point on the Gulf Coast before you got to swing around to Miami and go down to the east. I lived in Naples really for a solid year. Used to go back for the summer breaks from school.
Uh-huh.
But I went to school up in Sarasota, the Ringling School of Art, which is pretty well known school. It's considered one of the best.
And when you were in school there, what were you like? Like what was your plan? What were you going to graduate with? What were you planning on doing?
You know what? I discovered an awful lot about that stuff when I went there. I didn't know that much. I was into comic books, that kind of thing. But I had started branching out in high school. I had, we had a class that was after school. We do the shades in the art department, and then just locked the door. We had live models, new models that came in from the city. I don't know. That was like the only place they could get.
Yeah.
We'd have to wait for them to show up, and then we'd have to have the notes signed by our parents knowing we were going to be in front of naked people. And I had experience when I went into college, art school, before a lot of the people that I, was in class with. And so I wasn't like turning pink and red the first day of figure drawing. I was like, okay, come on, stop moving, and everyone else is like, the southern girls standing themselves. Oh my goodness. And I didn't know. Like I had no idea, but I did pick the commercial art, which had an illustration major.
Okay.
And but leading into that, I learned a lot about design work. And the whole point of that was, I think they got everybody ready for the point that you're not going to make a living as an illustrator right away if you do. So here's some design knowledge. And when you go to, eventually after a couple of years, after graduation, I moved to New York City. I spent 4 years in art school. Did a postgraduate. I was like the teacher's assistant, stuff like that. And I was actually waiting for somebody else. I was waiting for her to graduate so we could move. And we eventually moved back to New York because that was the hub. That's the hub of advertising and publishing.
Yeah.
I eventually got a job at a publisher, a small publisher, and learned an awful lot about design. I was a magazine publisher and transitioned with this company to digital when everything went digital design. I started out doing those old, you've heard the term paste up.
Right. Yeah.
On where everything ran through a waxing machine and cut out and put down, and we were lining up little letters, 11-point letters, and cutting out. They misspelled it, but they don't want to, print out more for you to lay out. So you'd have to literally go in there, a column of text about not even 2 inches wide, and take out the letter O, and then slide the letters back together.
Scott, you know a little bit about that, right? Your dad was.
Oh, well, my dad was a typesetter, but my brother also went to commercial art school.
Yeah.
And did a lot of the paste up and he used to do was it called letter set, where you rub the letters on certain things too, and you buy like sheets of letters and
a lot of advertisement use that because this way you didn't have to send out. Well, you did a mock-up using letter set and chart pack. There was a couple of different brands. This is bringing me down memory lane. I used to sell art supplies too. That's where I met a lot of great people there. Like, remember, who Dick Brown is?
No.
He used to do Hagar the Horrible.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he lived in Sarasota, and he used to come into the art supply store I worked at when I was still living. And I became friendly with him and his son, who passed away a few years ago.
Oh, man.
They did hire him. He had 2 sons. Look, weird stuff like that. But, yeah, I learned an awful lot doing that. And then when I transitioned digitally, the original design program was set up to mimic a desktop. Like if you were working on a drafting table, it was a T-square. It literally had all these things. You just had to learn how to,
Yeah.
It was almost similar. It was similar, except that you got to type on your own, which literally destroyed a lot of careers as far as typographers were concerned. Like, Scott, we had our own typesetters in house, and we, had this big machine that they would use, and eventually they kind of went there a different. They eventually, they had a transition period, but I did a lot of magazine design, which I love.
Yeah,
it was something that I realized I really loved doing. I was also doing some illustration on the side. That's how you way into. But I never kind of got to that point where I was making my full living as an illustrator. I realized I didn't love it enough. I liked the design work too, so I kind of did it all.
So
and
at some point during all of this, were you building models on your own, or were you?
Okay.
Did you even how did you get involved?
I worked in Manhattan, and I was always walking around, and I used to love walking downtown and going past, around and down Broadway and stuff like that. And that's where I passed Forbidden Planet. And then I discovered Village Comics, and I started getting into this stuff slowly. I started seeing them in the windows, the glass windows. I'd go in and look at them, the build-up. People were doing build-up. Some of them were probably Paul's. Seriously, I swear to God, they most likely were, because that was how I met him. I was down in the village, going to Village Comics, walking across the street, was coming from work, and I was, dressed as a designer. I had this big long trench coat. He remembers when I used to wear this big trench coat. And I had
nothing out underneath.
A little messenger bag, and I had a model kit. I had my first sculpture in it that day. I don't know why. And Paul comes walking across the street, and I recognized him from the magazine.
Oh, cool.
And it was weird. I'd seen him in Kit Builders, like one of the first 3 issues, maybe 6, like issue 3, 4. And I recognized him. I was like, "Are you Paul Gill?" And he was like, "Am I being served papers? Who is this? He was this weirdo who just is accosting me on the street." And I'm like,
wearing a trench coat.
I recognize you from the model magazine. And I pulled out this little thing. It was the first thing I sculpted. I had been, modeling for a couple of years. I had noticed them in the windows at places just like this. And I bought my first kit that I actually built and painted was the Horizon Venom kit. And
it's great. That's one of the best. It's one of the best.
It was that, and trying to think. I had the Hulk.
That's a good Hulk too. Do you remember what the sculpture was? That first sculpture that you showed him, that you had with you?
Oh yeah, I even have I didn't send a picture to you.
You can still send me one. What
first thing I ever did? And I did do some sculpting in but we're talking, it was all about learning anatomy. It wasn't about technique. It was, the teachers up there with the live model with calipers measuring, the comparison to the width of the joint. We're doing portrait of
Right.
dynamic, doing physical stuff. To learn literally put muscles on. Like she was teaching us how the pecs wrapped into this, all that stuff. We sculpted the skeleton first, we put the muscles on. But yeah, that was it. That was my experience. And after doing a few modeling, I wanted to play around with it. I had reference material because my job in publishing required me sometimes to have a lot of pictures of things. And what I had, I don't know why, I think it was around the time Clint Eastwood did that movie where he was like the bodyguard for he was like the in the Secret Service. And
In the Line of Fire with Malcolm.
Yeah, and we had a lot of reference for that at work. And once we didn't use it for whatever we were using it for, I was free to just use it for whatever I wanted. I had my files, and that was what I had. I was like, I'll do Clint Eastwood. It kind of looks like him. It was basically just a bust from, without arms or anything. It had a little plinth under the base. And I was playing around with super sculpting and the pink stuff. And it's a little rough, but the profile you could see clearly. The front, I was still figuring out the subtle details of anatomy. And facial anatomy is so difficult to figure out. Painting and drawing is one thing. Because you got a model usually. For me, I have a model. But when it came to 3D, I realized I knew nothing except the basic placement. And I was a good draftsman, really good draftsman. But translating was two different things. But yeah, it was the Clint Eastwood bust. And I showed it to Paul. And he was with John Diaz at the time. They were coming out of Village. And
were they holding hands?
Paul produced it. It was like, here you go. I gave it to him. I was like, here you go. Do what you need to do with it. And so I've still got a casting laying around. I don't know if I can find that. Right.
Is that something you would ever go back and revisit? Like, I'm going to redo that now, knowing what I know now, and do it do it.
It's tempting, but you know what? I move on. I've done Clint Eastwood 3 times. The second time I sculpted after that initial thing, it was a full figure from was it Josie? No, The Unforgiven. It was The Unforgiven, and that was much better. It was a smaller scale, but it was so much better. And and I used different things besides real reference. Photos. I remember in 3D figuring out the folds of pants in real 3D. When I had out the Billiken Dragon, I just was looking at how the pants wrapped around the leg, and that was one of my references for my first full figure. And yeah, Clint Eastwood was my first full figure too. But the shotgun when he comes in to kill Little Bill.
Yep.
Here to kill him. That and then after that, I did a few things, and it was, I was still learning. I remember the first piece I did. I also remember taking it out of the oven while it was still warm, and not knowing how to cut it. That if you heated it back up, cut it with an exacto real clean. I just broke it, thinking that those cracks will the cracks will cause it to lock in. They'll almost be like like traps, like all the cracks would just kind of line back up when I push it back on. And look, it fit, And I didn't know how to cut a piece apart. The key, nothing. There was really nothing going on. I remember. I could.
Yeah, no, you're fine. What's your biggest mishap in sculpting something? We'll skip around a little bit, but just question that came into my mind. You've sculpted a lot of stuff. What's your biggest? Oh crap! I just screwed Have you ever dropped something when you've been done? Have you
Oh! This is not a sculpting thing.
Okay.
This was it was the prototype. It was another piece I did later, which was another Clint Eastwood. It was the
wow. Look at that.
Yellow Josie Wales one, the big 1/5 scale.
Okay.
He's got the 2 guns, and I had Friday killer. killer was opening the doors in a couple hours. I was still in Pennsylvania, and I was painting this to put on the table, and maybe I think I even put it in the contract, and I put the arms on it because they were cut like at the sleeve, and I put the guns on, and it's all done. I'm like, the last little mist was on it, the highlight was glazed, I glossed the eyes, and I'm like, all right, now I just gotta put it in this box and leave. Like literally, I was dressed to leave. I had gotten home from work half a day, went like this, picked it up, and the thing just collapsed like a house of cards because I had to paint. I painted the parts separately, and I glued them together, and it just literally fell apart. I had like, no, that silent scream, with the camera going. Yeah. I had to pick that thing up, look at it real carefully, calm down, just glue it back together, and touch up the paint. Luckily, was still wet palette because I'm weirdly particular. Mix my paint, keep the palette back, so that if I have to touch anything up before it's finished, I still got the paint there.
A Sasquatch! Holy crap! Did you see it? There was a Bigfoot. Scott, you saw that.
I saw that.
You saw? Okay. We have a witness.
Oh, yeah,
Scott's a believer
it's
now.
Real. Must be real.
I'm immune to that.
I think
that was one of the biggest mishaps. I mean, that freaked me out. I was like going to the show. I was going to get in the car to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to get there, and the thing just collapsed. Like every piece just came off, everything. So I tried to catch it, and I'd grab it here, and then that would come off, and then the arm came off, and then the head fell off. I was like, oh, I was lucky that I didn't break my nose off.
Yeah. Oh, man.
My sculpting is always about things cracking in the oven, over baking them. Had stuff that suddenly gets almost black, and you realize that you left it in food. Stuff like that. That stuff happens.
When it comes down to like what you like to sculpt, like regardless of what people are paying you to sculpt, what do you like to do? Like, what is your thing? Like, if you're going to just like, I'm going to make something for me, I want this character, I'm really into this sort of thing. Like, if you didn't have to worry about doing anything for anyone else, what would you like to do? Like, what's your wheelhouse? What's the kind of stuff that you like to do?
Well, if there's one character that could probably sculpt over and over again, or at least until I feel like I got one that King Kong's my favorite thing. Well, just about the 30s. It just is. I've sculpted him a few times, but for me now, it's all about portraits. Once I finally started getting better with that stuff, and I did my first early busts, and realized that I all that stuff eventually sunk in. It just happened one day. On one sculpt, it just suddenly happened, and at that point, that's what I like to do, because that's what I like to do as an illustrator, or as an artist. I like to do portraits. And once you get past just naked people, I love figure. I love drawing the figure. You're just as pure charcoal sketches. That's one of my favorite things in the world to do. Is to sculpt, to draw the figure. And as far as sculpting, I like anatomy. I just love anatomy. It can get tedious, though, to get it right.
I miss that. It's one of the classes that I didn't end up taking in college, and I really want to go back and just take on my own, is life drawing, because it just didn't fit into what I was doing. And I want to go back and do some of that. And it's great to hear that. I think I missed out.
Which was what, drinking and partying, or
that's
what?
part of it.
That was
part of it.
Just before COVID, I was going for a couple of years to this local thing. It was at one of the local colleges, but it was like sponsored from the outside. This woman got a grant, and so it was like free, and a lot of professional locals, a lot of some caricature artists that professionals, that kind of stuff, and other painters, all different people were there. And this was something just a couple of years ago, and I would go every week and just kind of draw the models. That's what I like to do. People would go, "Why don't you finish the face?" Because I'm here. It's called figure drawing, not face drawing.
Right.
If that's the case, I'm going to be like 3 feet away, because right now, with the aging eyes, I got like the ones to see the page, and then the one to see the model 12 feet away.
That's exactly.
And I got 2 glasses on. explained to people. I said, "You're lucky I only have 2 of them on." You know, I said, fingers. And that's like one of my favorite things in the world to do. And I think because it bit me when I was in high school, with that class that I was asked by.
Do you think it's just you like looking at? You think maybe just like looking at naked people, or is it the actual?
It's weird. No, it's a yeah. I know, but it's different.
No, I get it. Yeah,
you got to know it's different. It becomes about.
Plus, a lot of those models that come in are not the
human.
They're not the best in terms of.
Some
they're fun to draw. Some can be, but some of those people that come in, because I've seen them walk in their robes, and I'm like, oh boy, good luck with you guys over there.
Some of the best.
Christ.
It's like a Johansson walking in.
I'd be looking at models.
Female models are often easier because they're curvier, and male models are just a little more squared off. And sometimes if they're too muscular, that's hard to do because that's not natural. And you're drawing, basically, I feel like I'm drawing superheroes. So when there was this one model that used to come in every month or two, and he was a thin guy, he used to ride his bike, and he was thin built. But when you draw that, it suddenly makes the guy look like he's a lot more, sturdy. And it's not like I'm filling it in. It's just when you're drawing that with the lighting, it's much easier than a guy who's got big pecs because they tend to get rounder. This guy had the pecs were squared off even though he was thin. And
yeah.
Same, everything. Everything about him. Even though he was thin, when I drew him, some of the best drawings ever. And there's certain things I don't draw because I
know what that is.
I'm not a prude by any means, but it's just something.
Scott was probably the opposite. Probably drew dicks on everything in school.
I did. Matter of fact, I did that at work for a while in the newspaper.
I would just suggest them.
I knew Scott was a dick drawer. I knew you were one of those people.
Oh, yeah.
My friend Bart, that's all he does is draw dicks on everything. It's from them. Did you ever see Superbad? Like, that's a whole premise in that movie, is how he just draws dicks on everything.
Mick, what's his face?
Yeah.
McLovin.
McLovin. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I was a dick guy. I'm not going to lie.
You were.
My son used to love that.
Clip. I was a dick guy. Clip it.
Let's go back to the hobby for a sec here. Sure. So you met Paul and John, and I know early on because you did that first Bayou Beast for John.
Which one?
The Bayou Beast, the man thing. Because I remember buying that at like Wonderfest '96, I think, from him. And so I know you partnered with him for a while, but I'll fast forward just a hair here too. When I saw the Pretorius. When you did the Pretorius, was the first in that group, and I remember looking at that, going, "Holy crap, is that nice?"
That was a what's the word for that moment? Mm-hmm. That one I did on my own. That wasn't a commission. I had worked, the man thing that I did for John was one of the last things I did for a number of years because my son was working a full-time job and I had an infant, so I stopped sculpting for 4 or 5 years. I just stopped. And I got back in, I think it was around when then I was single again. And I just started sculpting again. And it was with John. I did some things with John. And we started, a lot of the stuff I did with John was we were partners in. It wasn't, I wasn't commissioned. These were things that a lot of it was my decision, my choice. But then we came in together and agreed, that kind of thing. But the Pretorius was something I did on my own. There were no it was around 2000 or so. There wasn't much as far as the Universals. People just kind of stopped making them. Nobody was doing them. Very rarely did you see that stuff again. And I just decided that I saw this great still of him, and I decided I'm going to try again. I'm going to see if all that facial anatomy stuff over the years has sunk in a little bit. bust in my head. It is my Dr. Xavier moment.
And I had never seen anyone really do a Pretorius at that point. If I
think there was something
maybe Tony had done one.
He might have, like I said, but that was very, very little. There was very little Universal stuff. And I just found this thing, and I decided to try it and do something a little more than, of course, the geometric was still doing bust then, but they were still literally cut right here, and that's all they were on a circle, little thing. A lot of them were nice, but they were a little bit simple, and I wanted to do something with a little bit.
So the intent was not originally to do a whole series. You just sculpted that first.
I just liked that, and once I got to a certain point, he wasn't even completely finished. I remember being myself super excited. Suddenly, the light bulb turned on about doing this stuff, and that was at that point. That's when bust became a big part of my focus, because I still think that's where the character is in the face, not in a tuxedo suit with dress shoe. It's not how much. What is that? That doesn't say much. But everything up here, that says a lot. Especially when you're talking about things like the classic stuff, because a lot of that stuff, their technique, their acting techniques came from the stage, and it was all about exaggerated hand movements and the faces were often the eyebrows up, that kind of stuff.
Well, and like Pretorius, do you need him much farther? I mean, do you need it other than
there's
the
a
bust?
lot of characters. I say the same thing about them. Like Frankenstein's different. He's got great boots. I don't see
He's got great boots.
He does. He's got great boots.
He does have great boots. Those are cool boots.
He just has dress shoes.
Yeah.
I even the Phantom of the Opera. It's a tuxedo. I remember at some point we were going to do one, and I remember.
Wait, is there a monster that's not dressed up? Like they're all wearing. The Wolfman's got dress pants and a dress shirt. Dracula's in a tuxedo. Phantom of the Opera's in a tuxedo. Monster's in a sport coat.
You know what the Wolfman works with? Because at one point the shoes were off, and you got to see some feet.
He's got those wool dress pants and that satin shirt. Creature.
I don't think it was satin.
Yeah, it wasn't satin. When was the last time you watched the movie?
No, if you look at though, it's like a satin. I painted one, and I went and looked. If you look at it, there's a shine to that shirt.
Maybe that in the beginning. Yeah, you're right. It might be the early ones. Could have been silk.
Like silk, probably.
Yeah,
yes. It was probably silk.
I'm a little bit of a aficionado.
I meant more of a satin sheen to it. But yes, it was probably a silk shirt.
It might have been silk, because that shirt's cotton shirt wasn't considered a dress shirt.
Yes. So he was dressed up. Is there any that aren't dressed up?
Pants
besides the Mummy? He's wrapped up.
The Mummy is another weird thing. I remember I've sculpted the Mummy before, and realizing that a lot of the wrappings around him, I think were not. They were not like cloth. A lot of them were silk, I think, or satin. They were a little smoother and nicer than you'd think.
Gotcha.
I remember going over. Oh, you know what that was? It wasn't him. It was the Bride of Frankenstein. You know how she's wrapped, even though she's got the gown on, her arms are wrapped.
It's shiny. It's like a shiny material.
Yep. But the Mummy is rotten and that stuff. Yeah, you're right. It's all rotten. But she was the one that was surprising when I started doing the research. But
I think that Pretorius was the first time I knew who you were too. When it was on, because you guys were, if I remember correctly, when you walked into Wonderfest, John was down to the right, correct? Like that first row.
Right on the first row, halfway.
First row,
not quite halfway down.
Yeah, on the Pretorius. Yeah.
Yep. That's when I remember first seeing it and being like, "Holy crap, that's awesome!" And that's like you said, it was just geometric and that really for busts. There weren't many other ones.
Not that many people were doing it, because the hobby was mostly geared towards the figures, and I don't think a lot of the sculptors were used to doing real portraits. We weren't focused on that.
Right. Did you do those before or after?
They do a nice portrait. It was a different thing.
Did you do these before or after the Spider-Man and the
He was right
Scorpion?
After. I was still working on that stuff.
Okay.
I was still adding characters it was an odd transition for me. We did, the superheroes were my big thing, but then when I figured out the whole portrait thing, and I had, there's a technique that allows you to become a better portrait artist, and a lot of sculptors that have a little bit of training understand this. Tom and Joy. I don't know if you remember. Joy Snyder's a fantastic at like this. And we both, I went to school with them. I didn't know them. They were, senior students, but I knew who they were. And we both have that kind of background, and there's techniques for getting forth. And one of my techniques which was an improvement because of the digital quality. It was Photoshop, and bringing in, take a picture in progress, line it up with the photograph, and see if you're off. It's not, you can't trace. You can just look and see, like if you did a profile, you can see the nose is too long. You go, okay, I got to take a little bit off the nose. But once you start,
that's what everybody does in ZBrush too. Like that's exactly how they do it in ZBrush.
In ZBrush, they put their reference behind it. I guess you can.
They can send their thanks to me. Doing this way back. We're talking, 25 years or more.
Oh, wow.
And that was something that was, that I realized was going to work. You zoom in the opaqueness of one and the other, and you go, and you can see one, and you can see the other, and then you kind of find a nice medium balance. You just keep seeing where it was on.
So you did the Spider-Man, the Scorpion, the Kraven. I think those three, right? Did you do the Daredevil too?
First three.
Okay.
Then,
did you do the Daredevil?
The Daredevil was a joint effort between me and, believe it or not, Sam Greenwald.
Okay.
Sam Greenwald started. He was originally going to do it. He just got too booked. Didn't have time, so he sent a partially, started piece. Wasn't even partially finished. Maybe the head and the shoulder and part of the chest was done. And I took it. It was my first time playing with Castellane. He just told me what to do. And I finished it. I learned how to work with Castellane, basically in wax, like on this piece. And I finished the Daredevil. So it was a combination piece. And that joined the wall after I started working on it, because at that point, it's mine. It's going on my basic project, my wall.
Your wall.
And then after him, the only other piece that I really wanted on there, I'm trying to think if there's any. What was it?
Did you do the bullseye or no? Or was that
the bullseye else? It wasn't intended to be on the wall. It happened, and I gave my blessing on that one.
Okay.
But he doesn't quite fit. He doesn't look quite like the rest of them.
No, he doesn't. I never got the bullseye. I got the Daredevil, and I never got any of the other ones. Now, what was the story? Didn't Bowen end up with the Kraven, or did you do a new Kraven?
That was a new Kraven.
Okay.
Some of that stuff. He was interesting to work with, Randy. Great guy. Love the guy. Sometimes another artist is a hard art director to work with, because they have certain things, especially somebody like Randy, that they like certain type of, say, Randy was anatomy, being a sculptor. And I remember having a little just, head bumping with him about anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
And, that all worked out. It all worked out. But, it was really interesting working with Randy. Like I said, he gave people a lot of leeway. And the first thing I did with him was really the man, which is another one of my pivotal pieces in my career. And because that one is still, a lot of guys consider that the iconic man thing. And he was a little bit bigger than the rest of the pieces, but he couldn't get bigger than a certain size. People are always confused about like Randy Bowen's scale. And then I've gone online with some of these groups. I accidentally find them. I'm nice. I'm saying, no, Randy's scale is this. He goes, I think you're wrong. And I'm like, I did pieces, and this is what Randy told me, and this is the scale I worked in. This is the scale everybody else worked in. I don't think you're right there.
What is the scale? What is the scale for that? What did he tell you? What's the scale?
The scale is 1/7. It was not 1/6 because he wasn't supposed to go that big. It was supposed to be under 12 inches. You look at them; they're generally a little over 10 and 10.5 inches tall. You measure the figure. Now they could be on a base.
Mhm.
A lot of his pieces. But yeah, they were 1/7. They were not 1/8 because that was Aurora slide. That's much smaller. That made them about, I think, 8.5, 9 inches maybe, if they were 1/8. So yeah, I'm really good at scale. There's another one. Math was my other thing besides art. I don't figure that out.
I'll go along and say that man thing is it's not only that there's a likeness, but the posture, the pose, the kind of leaning forward, the one knee going in. I'm looking at the picture right now. Jason has it.
It was based on one of the ones that's part of the Marvel Encyclopedia online or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
There was somebody did a piece of art, but of course, taking something that's just one image and turning it into a 3D piece, that's still, it's not quite copying. It was based on a piece that was, Randy sent me the reference and said, yeah, I like this pose. And that's what I went with. But, you have to make adjustments because sometimes 2D doesn't translate to 3D. And then you got to figure out what it looks like side and back. And that was when I learned what the man thing really looked like. Really, how the face worked and how those tendrils go around, what was underneath them. And it really made sense. And so when you sculpt it that way and put the tendrils on, it looks right. And I was like, that really worked. Plug, I guess, was it Plug who did? No, Bel Myrick actually designed it, right? He was the first one.
Yeah, and I know Plug did it, and I think Frank Brunner did it for a while, or Bruner. I think it's Bruner, actually. I don't want to screw that up.
There's a weird circle there, too, by the way, because I've seen, I think it was, not sure if it was Plug, I think it was Brunner. He did a piece after I did that man thing, and it's basically drawn from the sculpture because I can see the photograph. The photograph took it from the product shot, and I am flattered 100% by that. But it's a chance they would never admit it. But I know I can look at that face, that the tendrils and stuff, and I know all those little marks. I look at it and go, hey, that's my man thing. I know these. I know. An artist knows their work. Even if it's translated from something else, you know where it came. And that, I like I said, I find that stuff really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, flattering, especially when it's one of my heroes, Runner, Plug.
Hold on, I gotta let my dog out of here. Hold on, time out.
Oh, it's dog fest.
Dog. Wait, what do you have him locked in the closet?
No, it's a long story. Buddy's coming out.
Uh-oh. I hear a Bigfoot again.
I think he's hungry.
Oh.
I don't know if that's the
you missed it, Scott. I heard a squatch. I heard a squatch.
Is there a squatch? Oh, I feel like there's a squatch.
Okay. It sounds like the one I remember from all the documentaries I've seen.
Yeah.
We're back.
Right.
So how many pieces did you do for Bowen? I mean, was it just kind of a freelance thing? He'd call you and say, you want to do that? Or?
He called me out of the blue. I remember coming home from work and my answering machine, and I hit beep, and I go, hey, Mark, this is Randy Bowen. And I was like, and I'd met him before. I talked to him. Mm-hmm. But to have that call, that was real exciting to me. That was for the man thing. I only did 3 pieces, everybody gets booked. There's too many things going on. And he had so many other people because his time frame kept getting shorter. So he had to have more sculptors coming in to get enough characters done. As time frame from 3 years was his license to 2 years for one of the phases. Yeah, and that might have been the last phase. But I did the Mysterio for him and that other Craven.
Okay, I don't have that, but I do have the Mysterio. Did you do any
bust? I think is another piece that I'm really proud of.
Did you do the bust? No, you did the
full figure, the one where he's rearing back.
You did the I'm thinking the Sasquatch bust from Alpha Flight, but that was a Jesse piece you did. Yep. That was yeah.
Another one I really liked.
That was better than the Bowen one, honestly, because it it captured the Byrne look.
That's what we were
sitting there
going for
What is he
specifically.
talking about? Yeah.
Sorry.
He rode me on that.
I know who that is, though.
On getting that likeness to the Byrne piece, and it was some that I thought was right on. And he's like, "That's not it. That's not it." And I was like, "Oh, you know what?" And I just had to keep going back. And it was like little subtle adjustments, like maybe the height between the eyes and the chin compared to the width. Mine was maybe a little longer, and I thought I had it down, but then I had to keep looking at it and go, "Okay, do this," until I finally got it. And Jesse's like, "I like it. Okay, that's it." You know. But that was a challenging one. But I love the way it turned out. And yeah, I've heard that from people too. The Bowen stuff, as far as the bust, they had a certain look, and there came a point where he couldn't deviate that much from it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was that shoulder, just the shoulder kind of thing with the kind of angled down towards those simple plinth bases that they used. I get it. I think that one was done. Well, I don't even want to say it was a nice piece. I think I looked at it at the time, but there was a reason. Of course, Jesse had me do his.
Well, I often said that what I liked about Bowen stuff, and I've touched on it before, so I'll just say it quick. It looked like it does in the comics. Okay, it looks like his pieces look like they walked off the pages of the comics. Where now you're stuck with all this ultra realistic, and a lot of it's computer sculpted. With the textures and like what the character would look like if he was real, kind of thing. And that's why I always like the Bowen stuff, is it was just kind of like out of the comics. And I still do. I still like the Bowen stuff. The Mysterio thing is one that I didn't pre-order. And when I got to the comic store, they had it in their case. And I'm looking at it, and I'm walking around it. I'm looking at it. I'm going, this is really nice. And I said, all right. And I bought it on the spot because it was like, no, this is nice. I got to have this.
Yeah, I worked my tail off to get that thing the way Randy wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the dome, his helmet was literally a plexiglass ball that we searched for. The first one he sent me was too small, and I had to search for the right kind. I think I found it at a local place that did plexi. And I remember the idea was to go in, get it to fit on the shoulder, right? Make sure that little cape fit around it. Dremel on the bottom. And if you wet sand plexi, you can get the shine back. I found that out. But then to go in underneath it from inside, I dremeled out an amorphous shape, which because that was the only way we could figure out how to do it. Otherwise, he'd be casting a piece inside a piece of plastic. This way was much easier, and they could put it like a mist airbrush inside it, and then you'd see the clear through, and you see this thing inside, but it wasn't solid. And I sat there with like the Dremel bits doing it, and when acrylic gets really hot, it turns into molten plastic. It burns.
Yep.
When it comes flying off the Dremel,
it smells, and yeah,
I've been burned by that stuff before.
But damn, I was real happy with the way that worked. The same with the cape. The cape took longer than the figure, I think, because that was a sculpting disaster. Going back to that question you were talking about before, it literally, I did it the way Randy asked me to do it. Rolled out some clay, bent it a little bit, put it on his shoulders, and then baked it, right? And as it was baking, the damn thing started tearing right across the middle and just falling in the oven. And I'm like, oh no.
No. I'm sure you were that
let
calm.
it happen. I just let it happen. Nothing I could do. I was going to do it over again. The thing is, there was no underlying structure. It was just sculpting, and it just wasn't strong enough. It was Randy's idea. I swear to God. And
I always figured guys sculpted tape with mesh or something.
All kinds of material to try to patch it and glue it, and it kept breaking as I was sanding it. And eventually, I got it to the point. It took 2 weeks. Get this thing smooth enough. And then after that, the inside of the cape, I don't know if you noticed, it has a pattern.
Yes.
It had to be sculpted on. So after that was all finished and beautiful and all smooth, and Then I had to literally put the Vaseline on it and roll out a piece of sculpture real thin and lay it across the inside, sculpt the pattern, and then bake it again. And by that point, I learned. I laid it down, I think, on a piece of cotton batting. And I was like, I ain't letting this happen again. And that thing is a one piece thin sculpture. And it held. I guess it held up well enough for them. But yeah, I was worried it was going to break to pieces when I sent it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet the original's long gone.
I'm good at mailing. I'm good at mailing things and packing things, and it's rare when something I've done breaks in the mailing. It didn't happen, but it got to him fine. And if it did break, they didn't tell me. The only thing that they did was Mysterio has that kind of quilted pattern on him on his costume. I didn't do that. I sculpted the anatomy with a few wrinkles and stuff, to suggest that it was an outfit. And then the great Rick Force, who was Randy Bowen's right hand guy, after they got the main casting, they did a master casting of the body because it was one piece. I didn't think so. They literally, he got it. He went in and resin. He put that stuff in. Rick Force, all of that, those lines that were incised.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't even do it literally on the Sculpey, because Sculpey doesn't, once it's baked, it doesn't react well messing with too much. You can get chips and stuff like that. And it was easy to do. The resin doesn't do that. You sand it. You can do that with Sculpey, but it's a little more difficult to work with. So Randy said, "Don't worry, we'll do that." That was one of the ones where, again, with Randy, we went back and forth about certain anatomy things, and I had to change things, and then I had to convince him to trust me on other things. And, but it worked out. It worked out fine.
So you were doing stuff for him at the same time you were still with Jaco or working with John for a while.
I think by that point we stopped. We had started winding down with the superhero kits.
Yeah.
We had gotten into busts and more horror stuff again. The superhero stuff, by that point, it just, everybody started doing it again in the Garage Kid. Nobody was doing it when we first started, except for Coma. Remember the Coma kits? They mostly stuck to DC.
Coma,
a few things. Nagel did a few. He did a Frank.
I don't know if this will stir the pot at all. Did Bowen ever come after Garage Kit guys like, hey, stop doing this because we're doing
not openly, but there was that issue back in the mid 2000s where a lot of guys who were doing them got C&Es.
Yeah.
And that also contributed to, hey, let's move on to something else.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was unfortunate because I think that was the golden era at that point in Garage Kits for superhero kits,
Yeah. And I know Randy ended up with a few of John's sculpts back in the day.
He never mentioned it to me personally.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But whatever the reasons were, and I remember, I don't know what the last thing you did for John Jaco was, but I remember your King Kong was kind of towards the end, wasn't it?
And at that point, there was no talk about it being any ending. Everybody moves on.
Well, yeah, and then when I say ending, that's what I mean. When
the King Kong was one of the last things I did, I think. I'm not sure if I did anything after that, because there was a point where I again took a little time off again.
Well, that's where I was leading to. I was like, so you kind of separated.
Just a couple years.
Well, no, I shouldn't say you separated, because I remember you did those pieces for Saul, the Phantom and the Cheney.
That was another magic moment.
And that Cheney Phantom to me is still the best Phantom out there. I got that from Saul at the Kit Builders show down in St. Louis, because remember I was sat up next to you guys, and
it's another light bulb moment where
that thing's beautiful. It's to me that's the perfect Phantom. It's still
reaffirmed to me that sometimes you just got to put in the time and the effort. You can't say, well, it's got to be done.
Right.
With Saul, that was about getting the thing right, as opposed to you got to get it done as fast as possible. His thing was always take your time.
Yeah, and then I remember it was kind of right after that you kind of, let's just say, went away. Life life takes us wherever life takes us. And then how'd you get hooked up with that Gil guy again? How did that happen? I mean, was it
As you know, I'd known Paul for many years before that and did a few
Right.
pieces. And he had left the hobby for a while, concentrated on his career. And whatever. Everybody has their things in life. And and then he became interested in it again. We got connected, knew that I was kind of transitional in my life at that point. It was around the time when the economy crashed again. Was it 2008, 2009, 2010? It was horrible. And people were having to do things they didn't want to do. I was one of them. And but I fell back on things I used to do, and eventually Paul had an opening for a roommate. He had a house, and his roommate had left, and he could use somebody else. And I was like, he felt I was the perfect guy. Maybe we could get back into this stuff, because he was getting back into it already. He'd been doing some things, and after a rough start, mostly on my part, because I was kind of like, you know what I mean. When stuff hits you, you kind of get a little.
Yeah.
But he helped get me back into the hobby, and get a better attitude about it, again, and and I slowly started doing more quality pieces again. I think it started off with the Caesar. We did that Caesar bust.
Yeah, okay. Yep. I was just going to ask what the first one was in the research.
I think it was the Caesar from the new, what's his face from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Same actor. Yeah. And that again turned out really, really good. And hell, we even had that painter in Japan. I think he was one of those guys that worked for some of those companies, and he furred it. Juan Lee, and that showed me that how much it really was. The sculpture was right on, because he literally took a fur and furred it, and the damn thing was so good. And it was another monumental piece. Then Paul and I did the military version with the parade. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
Yeah, yep.
And he looked good like that, And then after that, we just started doing different things and finding our way.
It is I think what you guys have done, there is a ton of variety in there. It's not like we're just sticking to this one thing. And that's what I really do like about what you guys have created. Even the gargoyle from the movie Gargoyle, like the likeness on that is spot on to that actor under all that makeup. Uh-oh, I can't hear.
And I'll give you $5.
Hold on, you gotta get up by the mic. Can't hear you.
You show me a better gargoyle, and I'll give you $10.
It's awesome.
Make it worth your while.
I stare at that thing because it captures everything about that movie that terrified me in 1972 when I saw it on CBS, the 9 o'clock movie.
So I recently just saw it for the first time.
It was like looking at Satan.
Yeah.
I was like, that's Satan. There he is. There he is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. But the likeness is nailed on that.
I love that kid.
He goes well with his woman, the female, the queen. I call her the gargoyle.
The winged breeder.
Breeder. She is a more of a concise sculpt where I had to take some concessions to make the wings work as part of one piece mold. But she really works. He went all out.
Yeah. What material are you sculpting in nowadays? I heard you talk about Castelline. You were doing Sculpey originally, pink Sculpey. What are you working with nowadays? Non-digital.
I still use Sculpey.
Still Sculpey?
I'm so old school with that. I prefer the medium gray.
The medium gray,
which is basically now a few of the guys in our hobby and other parts of it, worked with Super Sculpey, the company, I guess Polyform at the time, on this formula. And really what it is what a lot of us were doing at the time. The Super Sculpey pink, it's just bubblegummy, and it was translucent, and it's hard to sculpt. The firm, the hard firm, was too hard sometimes. So we would mix it 50-50. And everybody was starting to do that.
Yeah.
And eventually they got wind of it, and a few, I think it was Casey Love was one of the guys who worked with them on that. And that's how Scopy Medium Blend came out. It's just called Scopy Medium now. And it's a gray, but it's really a firm. And it's softer. Doesn't get, the firm, it sits for even 6 months. This stuff doesn't ever really get that It doesn't get that
right.
way.
It does crumble a lot.
But that's what I like to use. And a lot of us now, that's what a lot of people I know use. I think Jeff uses that mostly now too, because that's why I know I can, if I need to, I just pull out some of mine. If I need to fix them.
Paul, do you have a favorite thing that Mark has done for you?
Yeah, that gargoyle.
Is it really?
No, there's a couple. It's the gargoyle. What's that little name? I don't know.
I wanna say, one of the best things I've ever done for him. One of the best things I've ever done was the Pennywise from the 17 movie, the first one, released the day the movie. I think.
Oh no, but the other one I stare at.
Paul, get closer, Paul.
It's a very underrated piece. Tim Curry 1/3 scale serious piece. That thing is, I have not seen a better Curry done digitally or in clay than that one, and that's another one. Some the other day, people seem to discover these kids after you've been out for 2 years.
Yeah, after this show, you'll probably get some orders, hopefully, for some of this other stuff.
That's one of those. I go to him. I go right to Jeff and Mark. This is fucking beautiful. This is beautiful.
It's the simple one, too. I did two Curry.
Those two right there. Everything that we've done together.
That one is it's a bigger scale. It's simple. It's more like the music. It's just got the little bit of a frame.
Yep.
A base with it, which is the claw. And that's where he's sitting.
And the Kirby Hulk that he did. It was small.
I don't know if you might not even know. Neither one of you might know that piece.
Yeah, I saw the Hulk and the Thing. You did a Hulk and the Thing. Come on. I'm talking to Mr. Historian here.
I have so many. I do pieces, and sometimes the newest one is always my favorite. This one's really good. But then I go back and I look, and there's things that stand out that whether or not they're things that we did together or that we did a lot of the production work, the sculpting and all that for some other producers. Some of them stand out. One is the one where it's got our heads on it, the hatchet.
The hatchet.
I think the hatchet, design-wise, is firing. It's like a 12-cylinder fucking. Sorry, you can take that. Keep that out.
Yeah.
But it's
that's all right.
It's like I don't know. It's like to me that thing. Turn it around. Back is
I've never seen those movies, so this is beautiful.
I've seen Hatchet.
No, I know you have. We're talking about your compatriot there.
Design-wise, I think that one, as a piece that has so many things going on with the arm overs, with the hatchet,
I'm going to ask a question because I like to start shit. Okay, so Mark, has Paul ever come to you with an idea and you just said, "Come on, man, I don't want to do that," and or
it's happened, and then
we're not done.
Either that or guys that he may have. There's some things he's done with other people that he just has to have it done, and that's okay. Yeah, you can't do something if you think it's not. If it's not, if I can't see it as the sculptor, the artist, how can I make it look?
I'll go that way. I can tell right. Can you hear me? Am I
a little closer.
I can tell right away when he's not into something, and then I might kind of slither off.
I get often it's portrait work. I know I do a lot of stuff now that are monsters and things with fur. Okay, I'm known for my fur. It's all muscle memory. The hand, and I learned I developed a technique so many years ago that doing hair and fur.
The howling that he did. The only reason I would say that I don't put that in my top 10 because casting is a real pain in the you know what.
Okay.
I also think that's one of the greatest Howling kits as far as how it looked in the movie. And his American Werewolf in London bust is also very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
These are both the werewolf form. But yeah, the Howling one is another one I think design-wise. The way it sits on top of it, the base is perfect to me. The portions of it, and it works with the two arms and everything. I like the way that looks. Just sitting there, you know, it's a great sculpture. I like the way that looks. And you know, I can have certain favorites of my own work. I guess one of the ones I like the best right now is the newest ones. Well, the newest one that's going into the mold Monster Squad Mummy.
I was just going to ask about that because we showed it here in the beginning, but we'll put some more pictures up now. Where'd you start? How did it come across? Like, why did you choose the mummy to go first? Walk us through sculpting that piece.
Yeah, Mark goes out the window.
Me and Mike set that up. Initially we were gonna keep it a little bit hush hush, and then we were gonna come out with the creature, the Gillman and the mummy at the same time, and have it all molded and cast in, and like no pre-sale, no nothing. Here it is, and then. So we looked around on the internet and saw some digital 3D stuff. I said, you know what? Let's just start showing. We decided, well, let's do the mummy and let's show it, and then went to him, and he was excited. So I said, this is gonna work.
And it wasn't like they didn't ask me, like, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, I think the mummy is the perfect. And the Gillman, I said, well, you shouldn't go out to be second one. You should be like one of the finales, but nah, you got to start off strong. As long as they didn't start off with the Dracula, he's one of the weakest to me. Yeah. The Wolfman, I think something tells me that's going to be special, even though I think that's the weakest design. The Wolfman got nards. Because they use that prop, with the mechanical prop for a lot of that.
Yeah, his face looks a little strange.
But I think I can work with it. I think I can work with it, and because the werewolves and stuff seem to be one of the things that people like for me, I know that probably says something. That to me instills more confidence in me about it than the fact that I've actually done that.
How do you like sculpting those big pieces like the Kong for George and the creature? I mean, is that like you look at it and go, "Oh, will this ever end?" Because it's so big.
At first,
can I say something? He discovered a new talent because those are really good.
Yeah,
that big Kong and that creature are really good, and he never did anything that big before.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like if that was the thing, he could do those all day long.
You know what I discovered doing those things is that it was a little piece, a quarter scale piece of you, an eighth of an inch. That's a lot. Up by an eighth of an inch on something that's this big, not that much.
Yeah, it's bigger.
And I realized that, these likenesses are better. Like that King Kong, I normally would be like, get a likeness of that Kong since he's digital too. Mm-hmm. Nah, it was the biggest problem was just it was a lot of clay to push around. It really was. But from a technical standpoint, it's tough to work with. Building the understructure. I couldn't just build wires and just slap clay because that would have been like $900 worth of clay. I kept it down. It still took me 13 or 14 pounds of clay just for the Kong.
Yeah.
But it worked. And I discovered that I could do likenesses at the scale. Because I think the creature likeness is really good on that, and and then I did that other piece, two other pieces. I did the Barlow for Earthbound. Well, it was Earthbound with Mark.
It was Mark and Earthbound.
And that one I think is even a little better than the quarter scale that I did. You know, a lot of people don't look at things like that and think in terms of likeness. They just go monster. And I look at it like I know I study the actor. I want to know who the actor is because the actor just that's really this except for the teeth and the ears. Barlow it really looks like the actor. He had a certain amount of scar. You look him up. That's one of the facts. They point out he had some scarring that happened when he was a kid during one of the bombings during World War II. But to make them look right, even if I did a werewolf, let's say I'm doing a werewolf, I'd still change his eyes at the very least, and the structure around his cheeks and stuff. It's prosthetic everywhere else, but it's still his eyes, and you got to make it look like Chaney Jr., not like somebody else.
Or like the bionic Bigfoot. You went and looked at Andre the Giant, I hope, right?
Oh, the bionic Bigfoot.
Do it again. But when I look at that, for some reason I don't see Andre in the makeup. I really, except for the hair.
Right.
They added to the hair,
but
I didn't see him, however.
Isn't it crazy that they could use his own hair for that? And
as the basis, yeah. They lengthened it a little bit and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, that's his hair. But I don't see him a lot.
Right.
Which is what I saw.
Which I think goes to their makeup design, because when you first look at it, you're like, is that Andre the Giant? But like you can't tell right away. It's a great job with what they did, with what they had to work
around
with.
Here in the nose,
yeah,
you see Andre.
And Harry and the Hendersons is another one. That's another one that when I make one, I look at it, I walk over to him, and I go, dude, freaking good job, man. Because
it's unfortunate that was that show's jump the shark moment. Okay, but
Harry and the Hendersons is a great.
Yes, it is. That I think that Harry and the Hendersons
I like that
is
one
one
too.
of my most.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. So,
but those two, I did those two very close together, and I'm real happy with both of them. The Andre the Giant one, when I look at it, I see the only thing I see is the Bigfoot from the $6 Million Man. I'm really proud of that likeness, considering it's like I said, it's a monster essentially.
Yeah. Yep.
Even though it's a Bigfoot, and I don't see anything off on that thing at all. It's the likeness of him, of the monster. Same with Harry.
Harry's dead on. It's dead on. I've watched that movie probably 100 times, and it's dead on.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Harry and the Hendersons?
No.
Oh my God.
Why even bother to ask him?
I don't. Yeah. All right. So I have one more question. I have. Jason posted some pictures on our slideshow, and I'm sure more will filter in when he edits. But the Spider-Man and the Sandman from that Spider-Man movie. I didn't even know you sculpted. I didn't even know you sculpted that. I remember seeing it, but I don't.
That was never produced.
Okay.
Master Replicas kind of it kept getting kind of kicked back. They wouldn't sign off on it, right? And it turned out, it kept saying, there's something wrong with the Sandman likeness. Maybe and I literally got a list at one point, and on the same list was maybe his nose is too long, maybe his nose is too short, maybe his nose is too wide, maybe his nose is not wide, literally contradicting the suggestion. And I literally just had to go in and do the Photoshop work and look at Thomas Hayden Church, right? That's his name.
Yep.
And make it even better, and literally just make it look like him. And even when I got it and it was perfect, it still got kicked back. There's something, we don't know. You know what the problem was? Thomas Hayden Church decided, after all the other things that had been done for that movie, he always looks mean. Why do I have to look mean? I don't want to. I'm thinking, did he even see his own movie? Did he even see that scene?
I think it looks great. The likeness on that looks great from the one picture I'm looking at. And, and I can imagine sculpting those webs. I imagine all those webs are sculpted. And it's like.
But yeah, the reason it took a long time to get accepted was because Thomas Hayden Church wouldn't sign off on it, because he wanted to be. He felt like all the other ones, he wasn't friendly enough.
Oh,
like he's the villain. Okay. He's the villain. He wanted to. What did he want it to be smiling? They didn't tell me to make it smiling. They never told me this. They just kept saying maybe the eyes are wrong. Meanwhile, it was just him saying, "I look too mean." They should have leveled. They didn't level with me, and I found this out later, and it was weird. Really?
Huh.
I have no hard feelings against them,
Yeah.
but I said that's one of those things. When you see the officially licensed stuff, that's probably a lot of reasons that some of the stuff is the way it is, where it's like everybody looks at it and go, yeah, but it's not really right there. Why? How come?
Well, and it's I know, and I shouldn't talk out of school, but I'll touch on it a little bit. I've become friends with Tony, and he tells me how sometimes
Tony who?
the art directors make you crazy.
Tony who? For
Tony
people who don't-
Cipriano,
Iron Man, Tony Stark.
Yeah. But yeah, Tony Stark, yeah. But he says what people don't realize when they get online and they kind of start critiquing it is they don't know how many changes, like you just said, the company has made that you might look at it and say it's fine, but somebody that really doesn't know, or like you say, in this case, the actor isn't happy with it. And so you have to go back and tweak this and tweak that. And unfortunately, guys don't know this goes on behind the scenes.
A lot of stuff happens like that.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly with the pre-paint and stuff. Like I said, even as much as I still love it. Sometimes it was hard because him being so good, the sculptor, knowing his stuff and doing, he said the Marvel stuff looked like Marvel because it looked like he reread a million times. And that's what his stuff modeled after. John Buscema's work. Yeah, that happened. And it's not like I did a million licensed pieces, but just on the several things that I've done, it became apparent that happens. And then you got a lot of people chiming in on things that really have, again, no business chiming in and causing issues because some people, they open it up for the fans to kind of say stuff in the middle of the process. And sometimes that hurts, because too many go, yeah, and it's not really, they don't know, that there's certain things that go on.
Most of the time, it's somebody that's never picked up clay or sculpted or anything.
Yeah, it happens. But,
how's that art director sitting next to you? Is he okay to work with? Is he?
I do research.
And he also, when you work with somebody for so long, you learn how to work with them.
You just don't listen. You put your fingers in your ears.
That's how it goes. It's always best. When you work with somebody,
Bigfoot's not real. What?
You learn how they work. You learn how this person works, and it's easier. You start understanding each other. Because sometimes the word, the words get in the way of what you're thinking.
So what's next? What do you guys got coming next? What are you working on next for Paul, for anybody? What do you got coming out?
Give us a scoop.
Yeah, that's right. There's some large scale, like 1/3 scale, Universal stuff. It's a way to differentiate us from, not even just Universal, but the classics. Differentiate us from the quarter scale. They're a little bit bigger and a little more unique. We did the Frankenstein, which was the Chaney Jr. one from Ghost. And we did the Mummy, the original, this thing, the arms up.
Yep.
They were 3rd scale. They were bigger. And we're working on, you want me to tell you? Yeah, I'm working on the Phantom of the Opera. It'll be my second one. And since I nailed it, I guess, the first time, now it's time for me to do another one. And a little more dynamic. And hopefully everybody will accept that. But it's going to be unique. It's going to be very unique. The pose isn't from us still. Hopefully, I find that that's a hit and a miss, but we didn't want to just do stills on all these things. The Mummy kind of is. But, and then after that, there's other things we want to do. One of them might be to revisit. Maybe mention that.
Oh, yeah.
They even have their own sign language. Did you notice that?
We
What
know
is this?
each other too well.
All right.
Not the same pose, but maybe a revised version of Pretorius, Dr.
Okay.
Pretorius, because he's got such a great face. And, for me, there's other ones too, like I've got some other ones that aren't necessarily even universal, but they're classics. And I want to do, because I like the character's face is the best of the movie. People don't think of this version, with that particular actor, but it's actually better than the one everybody goes to.
And there's another Bigfoot project.
We love doing big.
Do you remember Mysterious Monsters with Peter Graves?
Yeah. Yes.
Kind of remember?
Yeah.
Scott.
I don't know if I can talk about this, but if not, we'll edit it out. Mark, a little birdie tells me we might start seeing something other than sculpting from you as well. Maybe some.
I wanted to paint book covers. I'm still in love with drawing and stuff like that, and painting, and especially when it's our genre stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get back into painting and do something that maybe we could sell to collectors. That collectors might like. Get my hand back into the painting, because honestly, that's what I am trained at as a painter, an illustrator. I just got to kind of get back into it, retrain my hand.
I love this idea.
I always liked.
Well,
like
it's
when
a way.
I got
It's a way, with all this digital stuff coming out, and we're doing practicing digital because we have some plans to utilize it. But in a way, it's purest art form, drawing, painting, that stuff, and he is good at this. And
it's my real. It was my true calling in the beginning.
We just want to not take a break from the hobby, never do that, but it needs to be like an outlet to kind of decompress from things. You know what I mean?
And it would still be related to the kind of stuff. Let's face it, it's not just about modeling. It's about our hobby is not just about modeling. It's a specific type of characters and stuff, and it's mostly movies, but it involves superheroes even. Not that we would much of that, but it could happen. But we have it's like a hero worship thing, an idol worship, and it relates exactly back to painting these characters is very related to what we're doing. Everybody has these things on their walls too, paintings of. And photographs of, Boris Karloff, Frank.
Yeah.
We just have a very healthy respect for all the digital stuff. It's such a point where we're gonna learn some of it, but we have a love for just real art, like just real. Look at that old art book, sculpture, from the Greek. We just love art, man. You know what I mean? Like it's done by these,
I used to like on the Jayco pieces, your later Jayco pieces, like the bus set we talked about and the King Kong. You guys always threw in a drawing that was by you, or
a lot of times, and I still do that occasionally.
And those were cool. I remember seeing those going. Yeah, that's really cool.
But this is the next level up. We're hoping to turn it into original art that we're selling, but at a like a price point that works for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not doing these 50-hour paintings. I'm going to try to do them in a more creative manner and yet realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to raise this for a second.
I'm going to say something real quick, and you could cut it out.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say that as a small hobby, and the people in it, I don't know anybody with a halo over their head, but we're a very small community, and we need to, at the very least, chill out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just chill out. I mean, I'm 57. I got back pain. I got leg pain. I got we're getting older. All of us, and we need to just. Yeah, and that's all I'm gonna say.
And there's a good chance Jason and I will touch on some of this.
Have touched on it because this will be after.
Or have touched on it because this will be
right. We are getting older, and it's time to start doing some of the other things too.
Well, I was going to point to this King Kong thing here, and this is a guy on Etsy that sells his stuff. I forgot his name, and I feel bad because I've got his website saved somewhere. But that kind of stuff. I mean, he did that King Kong painting. And I bought the print, and he offers the print in different sizes and stuff like that. and affordable. Like you said, a price point that's affordable. I love stuff like that. Now, unfortunately, I got so much shit on my walls now. I don't know where I'd put anymore, but I'll find a place for a Van Tine. I'll find a place.
Yeah. Very cool.
And like I said, these would be original art too.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming. Mark, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. We'll have you back again. Paul, same. Thank you. We're really happy, and I want to say to both of you, from Scott and I, thank you for the support you've given this show. It means the world to us. And without you guys, this would have been very boring from the beginning. You were the first people to step up and donate stuff to the show and participate. And we truly, truly, truly appreciate it from the bottoms of our hearts. And again, thank you. And thank you for being on again tonight.
Yep. We appreciate the injection you've given the hobby.
So, well, and I'll just piggyback on what Paul said, because it's no secret. There was a time Paul and I didn't get along very well. And if Paul and I can mend fences and look where we are now, and people don't even know what goes on behind the scenes, but I talk to Paul a couple times a week. That's fair to say.
I'm sorry, Paul.
And well, I keep telling him, just call Jason. Jesus, leave me alone. But the point I'm trying to make is, it's not worth fighting with people and all that. And I'm glad. I've known Mark a long time, so I never.
I'm sorry, Mark.
Mark and I never had an issue as far as I'm concerned, but Paul and I have come from a really bad place to a really good place, and to me that just shows that it can be done. You just have to want to do it. So, and
better for everybody involved and better for our blood pressures.
Yeah. And now, frankly, I'm kind of bored. I got to find somebody to fight with because
no, you don't.
You have a wife in the other room that's not too happy with you. You can just go right back there.
Fight with Jason because it's funny.
Trust me.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
Paul. Mark,
thank you, Mark. You're the best. All of you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye. Scott, what'd you think?
Yeah, no, it was good. It was. I haven't talked to Mark like that in a long time. I mentioned on there that I had a table next to him at the Kit Builders show years ago. So I got to know him a little bit there because it was not, I'll still never knock that show because they did get people in there. They just didn't get model kit people in there. And, so it was kind of slow for dealers. But it was nice. I got to sit with Mark and get to know him a little bit back then and, talk to him about stuff. So, but this was good. This was
I think hearing some of those Bowen stories were great. And and especially about the Spider-Man and the failed Spider-Man statue. I love hearing that sort of thing. Do you think Bowen would ever come on our stupid show?
I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? We can reach out.
Yeah.
What else is he doing?
Yeah, really. What is he doing? Is there any Bowen stuff still?
Not yet.
Is there anything?
Not yet.
Okay. But thanks, Mark. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mark. Again, you heard our thank you in there. I don't want to say it again, but you're the best. Thanks. Moving on. Emails, voicemails, and corrections. All right, we have a correction from Vincent Simonelli. Good old Vince. Scott never sent me the picture of Elsa last episode that he said he was going to go looking for. So Vince sent it in. Here it is from the Stanarts kit. So these are the originals with Jack Pierce and her putting her makeup on. So this was the inspiration.
Maybe you can get Vince to co-host with you.
Maybe I can.
Suck ass. Okay.
But now that we've shown these pictures, you want to bet someone in about 6 months does a Elsa Jack Pierce piece with him standing next to her?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. You never
it's coming.
know.
You know it's coming. So that's cool. Dan Cherney. We have 2 emails from Dan Cherney. And instead, one of them could have went into news and reviews, but I wanted to leave it here to give it a little more attention. So the first email, and I think is a good email. Dear Jason, Scott, and all model clubbers. When I got into this hobby many years ago, there have always been kits I wanted, even though my budget hasn't allowed me to get everything I want. One of the kits I missed out on was the Scott mentioned sculpted by Mark Van Tine Bayou Beast. and based off of Marvel's Man-Thing character. I've been searching for this kit for years and years, and there has not been one on eBay for at least 8 years. So where does the diehard collector go for finding their Grail kits? Are there specific sites or groups? I believe I have tried nearly everything. Heck, I even searched to see if there was a recast. Not that I ever do that. But there is nothing. Where is a collector to go for those must-have garage kits from not so long ago? Dan Cherney. P.S. And so if something really is impossible to find, what does this say about recast? What an evil circle this is. I'll start with the recast part first. Still off the table for me. If it's impossible to find, I still think recast is not acceptable. Scott okayed our giveaway this episode. But I
understand why a person would go that route. Okay. I really do. And like our giveaway this episode, I don't have as big a problem with Aurora stuff. It's just me personally. Other guys do though. So it's it's a preference.
And Ron, we're not complaining. we're
not complaining.
No.
And Dan, I'm not knocking you. I've never made a secret of the fact that I have some recasts in my collection.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a different view years ago than I do now. And
I have some anime ones.
So
at the time I didn't know they were, and then I found out they were, and I still bought a couple. And I have one future recast that was gifted to me by a person I'm not friends with.
I will say recently I've actually even given some of them away to people that are in the same boat as Dan is in right now. It's a
I just wouldn't feel good like searching all that time. I would feel better finding the original. And if I stopped at the fake one, I would be like,
so here's an idea. Okay. So on to the other part of his email. Where does one go for Grail kits? That's a great question.
That is a great question.
And I can tell you this, send us an email saying, hey, anybody got one? So, hey, for Dan Cherney, because we have helped hook some people up before with stuff. And I think
remember when they would do on the radio? It was called Radio Tradio.
Okay.
Like back in the day.
So, hey, does anybody have a Bio Beast they want to get rid of to Dan?
In the comments below, say Dan Cherney, I got you. And someone might have it. But yeah, where does someone go?
Modeler's Resource number 1 through 3 if anyone's got them. So
I would like the Curse of the Demon Big Head. I never got it.
You'll get nothing. But there you go. So yeah.
Where does one go?
Now, that being said, we're not responsible for any transaction gone bad, but it's, use this platform and send us an email. Hey, if it gets crazy, maybe we'll have to do something different, but, or put it in the comments. Hey, I'm looking for blah, 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 whatever,
Maybe we'll start a new segment.
Grail mails.
Yeah. Grail mails. Grail mail. That's great. All right.
That's why I get the big money. That's why I'm the town.
We'll start a Grail mail. Send us your emails. But where does one go? Like, where is the go-to place to start looking to buy stuff? I haven't really looked for a kit on eBay in years.
There's a zillion boards. There's eBay.
I think the Clubhouse, maybe if you put something on the Clubhouse, might be a good bet. I think, I don't know.
And again, I will say this, in the various groups, I'm starting to see more older kits start popping up for sale. So
Dan Cherney's second email. Dear Jason and Scott, this was going to be in the beginning, but I decided to move it here into emails. There is a new kit release that has been a long time coming. Back in 1965, a kit I was -9. Yeah, I think. Back in 1965, a kit was made by a radical artist named Stanley Mouse. At first, he created art along the line of Big Daddy Ed Roth. He created a few kits in this genre, including the famous Freddy Flypogger. He created a few kits in this genre, including the famous Freddy Flypogger at the beach called Flip Out. It was originally issued by Monogram in 1965 and was very popular. Original issues of this kit still sell for hundreds. Now, Atlantis has re-released the kit from the original molds. The kit is molded in styrene and has all the original parts, including the shark, buzzing fly, and running mouse. The pieces join very well, and the molding is top-notch. I'd recommend it for anyone who likes the design or wants to build a nostalgically strange kit. By the way, Stanley Mouse went on to become quite famous as the main poster designer for the Grateful Dead and other significant 60s and 70s groups. I didn't know that.
How about that?
Yeah, I didn't know that. So check out some of these pictures here. These are pretty cool. And that's like that Grateful Dead picture is the Grateful Dead picture. And to know he was making model kits before, that's pretty awesome. So cool. All right. We got a couple other emails about the same thing. And one of them is from Jerry Fraid. Everyone, please check out Jerry Fraid's YouTube channel called Just Paint It. There's a link down below that goes directly to what I'm about to talk to. So click on that link and it will take you right there. And we got one from Ed Riley as well. So both of us sent an email and a link basically talking the same thing. Started watching the new... Hey, Jason. Doesn't say anything about you. Started watching the new episode today at work and heard you and Scott mention doing some type of contest with Mark Worthling's head. Can you please add me to any list you may have, as I'd like to try my hand at this? Please keep up the good work you guys do. I look forward to watching each new episode when they come out. I also like the first movie and the model episode, so I'm looking forward to that new one when it's done. That just happened. Model and the movie's out. And holy crap, that movie was bad. Crimes of the Future. Go watch our review of Crimes of the Future. Me and Brian Clark had a good time watching that. The next movie is, if you want to follow along, is Last Night in Soho. But the Mark Worthling head, we want to do it. We're trying to get this done. We're going to work. We have a lot of other things happening at the same time, but we're at the mercy of Mark having some other stuff he's working on. So we're going to do that contest. So bear with us. There is no list. It's going to happen. That's the show, Scott.
No voicemails, huh?
We have no voicemails this episode.
Boy, I'm in trouble.
I think because you offended somebody.
I want to give a shout out real quick.
Shout out
On the parts pit. Last episode, I think I even mentioned I had bought an original partial built Aurora Superman. And I needed a left hand, which for the freaking life of me, I can't find right now, so I might need another one. But anyway,
if you lost it, I'm gonna left.
Oh, I'm sure it's somewhere here. Anyway, big shout out. Oh, there it is. Pretty sure I'll have to match it up, but I wanted to get an original Aurora, the lighter blue that it was. And I think that is the original. I'll know when I strip it. Okay. But I wanted to keep the kit all original if I could. So big shout out to Cliff Payne. Okay. Cliff runs parts pit, or he's out there in the parts pit. And not my first time dealing with Cliff, but he's got a lot of parts. So if you're an Aurora guy and you need a part, get a hold of Cliff Payne.
We'll put all that information down below too.
See if he can help you out.
Yeah, so. Cool. Parts pit.
Yeah, it's Cliff Payne, Payne. You can find him on Facebook too.
All right. Excellent. Scott, got anything else?
No.
We didn't, there were no big bloopers, no big jokes. Nothing really funny happened.
No, not sorry. It's, I can't be funny. I can't be on all the time.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I'm still the life of this show. There's no doubt about that. What do you got? Like 80 views on the movie thing?
Oh, it's like 130, I think.
Oh, okay.
Which is hey, for that movie, we're at the mercy, I think, of what people want us taught here. Like that's, oh boy. But check it out. Again, we'll be at Wonderfest coming up here. We'll be here before we know it. And
how about you? No boxing videos? No unboxing videos?
I will. I just got an email today from Iverson and Cult TV Man that Vampirella is on its way.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask about that. Yes. because mine came too. So,
but I did not get anything about the fly yet. So I don't know what's happening. And we'll see. So I will have an
All right.
unboxing for that. Oh, and I got my tall man from Phantasm is coming from
yeah, I
Shadow
saw you
Creation.
were next on the list.
So that's coming. So I'm gonna have 2 unboxing videos here in the next what's in the box probably next week
Can't
with
wait.
both of those. Such a jerk. All right. Take care, everybody. Oh, cool gallery coming. We got some good stuff. And
a lot of Mark Van Tine stuff, or are you running
yeah,
that?
I'll put a new Mark Van Tine montage in there. And some other there's some good stuff. So
Updates on Phil Kupka. There was an update yesterday. Doing better. And he's like they were gonna put him in a rehab place, but I guess the hospital has a rehab, so he's in the same hospital, but he's doing rehab and doing a lot better, eating better. So hopefully he'll be able to go back home soon.
cool.
And
Good to hear.
again, all the best to Phil, Diane, and we're always thinking of you guys.
Yep. And thank you, Ron Joseph, again for the kit giveaway. And to our winners, congratulations.
Paul Gill
Paul
for
Gill.
this one, and
thanks to Mark Van Tine for coming on. And
now you won't have to beat me out. I was good today.
Yay. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.